on this episode of the NWA 1984 Project, Mid-South Wrestling 1984, All In, WWE on Fox, Wrestler Spotlight, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and Abdullah the Butcher. And away we go. And welcome back to the NWA 1984 Project. I'm your host, Juan Cena, and with me, as always, is Matt Riley. How did you do tonight, Matt?
Great.
All right, great. So today we have an action-packed show. Again, this will be another TV taping for our friends over at ESPN. The main event of this show will be Roddy Piper taking on the Dream Machine. So that should be an excellent main event. But first, we're going to talk about Mid-South Wrestling 1984. On the prior two shows, we talked about WWF 1984, and we talked about Jim Crockett Promotions 1984. So let's see what's going on down at Mid-South. Now, I guess the first thing you would see when you're watching Mid-South from 1984 is the influx of talent from Memphis. You see guys like Jim Cornette, Midnight Express, Rock and Roll Express is in there. And you see a roster that on paper, when you look at it, it's a great roster when you look at it. But these guys are not necessarily known for work rate or what they can do bell to bell. Notable exceptions, of course. When you see guys like, Magnum TA and Hercules Hernandez, Dr. Death Steve Williams at the time, you got Jim Duggan, you're like, I don't know how these matches are going to be. But I was pleasantly surprised. I saw a Jim Duggan Hercules match where, if you watched that a couple of years later in the WWF, that would have been a snooze fest. That probably would have ended in a double count out or some shit. But this match was amazing. Like, these guys are really going after it. Again, we see Hercules Hernandez here, who is slimmed down from what we, most people would remember him as. So he's not as thick as he's still shredded to all hell.
Yeah.
But, his mobility is fantastic, and Jim Duggan is in his prime. Like Jim Duggan, at this point, they're making the transition to Duggan. I feel they're kind of moving him to the top babyface spot. Again, Magnum's still there, and JYD is still there, too. Again, JYD's not known for his in-ring work, but these guys are really going after it. I mean, we're watching Mid-South in terms of an overall presentation. And there's something that really, really strikes me about this is that it's Bill Watts' attention to detail. It's in continuity. It's ridiculous. He almost takes it at an OCD-type level. Of like, everything has to make sense. And if you watch professional wrestling, especially nowadays, but even back then, a lot of times you have to suspend your disbelief and be like, oh, okay, this kind of makes sense. And, and it's like, you got to take a lot of leaps of faith to kind of make, the logic leaps actually make sense. But in Mid-South, nope. They explain everything almost ad nauseum. So everything, like, really, really makes sense. The interesting part about that is, like, even a character like Crusher Khrushchev. So Crusher Khrushchev is there. Nikolai Volkov is there. And we all know Crusher Khrushchev, Demolition Smash, Repo Man. He was Crusher Khrushchev and Jim Crockett Promotions. But it's a different Crusher Khrushchev that we would see in Jim Crockett Promotions. Now, I don't kind of remember what the story was with Crusher Khrushchev and Jim Crockett. Was he Russian? Was he not Russian? They don't really make that clear. They said he was Russian descent, but he was brought up in Minneapolis. I don't know. Crockett did weird stuff with that. But in Mid-South, his character was a guy who went over to the Russian side. So he was an American who became a Russian sympathizer. And he started out as Crusher Darso. He started out as Crusher Darso, and then he lost the match to JYD, and he's like, oh, I want to be the best. So I'm going to start training with JYD. So he starts training with JYD, getting bigger, getting pumped up. And then he loses a match to Volkov. And it's like, I'm not good enough to be Volkov, so I'm going to go train with Volkov now and become bigger and badder and stronger. And then eventually, through a series of, a couple of weeks, even a couple of months, he becomes more and more insane that he has to win. He will do anything in his power to win, so he becomes a Russian sympathizer. So that's the story about how they took Barry Darsow and made him a Russian, which makes a hell of a lot more sense, which they didn't really explain that in Crockett all that much. You had Ivan, you had Nikita, and then you had Khrushchev. And you're like, oh, these guys, what's the deal going on with these guys? But they explained that in great detail in Mid-South. Another things they have going on in 84, they have Dr. Death Steve Williams' turn. So they're doing this thing where Terry Taylor won the television championship, which the television championship wasn't a belt. It was like an Olympic medal, but it was like oversized.
Okay.
So it was a big size, oversized medal. They did this thing where Doc just takes the championship, and like Mid-South is trying to get it back for him, and Williams does this thing where it's like, oh, if Terry Taylor beats Khrushchev, I'll give him back the medal. So Dr. Death just beats up Terry Taylor, rams his head in the pole, and then Khrushchev gets the win here, and that's how that angle goes. And now they're going to feud over that championship. So again, super intricate stuff for 1984. You had the Midnight Express coming in with Jim Cornette. Obviously, they're going to feud with Magnum TA and Mr. Wrestling 2, and they go through that whole angle, and eventually Wrestling 2 turns on Magnum, and then it leads to Magnum winning the North American Championship, which is their main championship at the time. And they actually kept the Midnights and the Rock and Roll apart for a little while before they started having these fantastic matches. And of course, they do, prior to that, they do the Last Stampede.
Ladies and gentlemen, this next segment, Boyd Pierce, Mid-South Wrestling, Grizzly Smith, we are not responsible for it. We'll go to ringside now for a special segment.
Well, as Cowboy Bill Watts said, Jim Cornette has purchased some time here on Mid-South Wrestling to have a celebration.
Jim Ross, I know that everybody's just as pleased as I am that we are, as you can see, oh boys, now control yourselves, the new Mid-South Tag Team Champions. Can you see those belts right there? I told everybody it was only a matter of time. Just as quick as we cornered those chickens, 2 and TA, the first chance we had, we took the belts. You can see the proof right here. Oh, Bobby, keep throwing. Come on, let's celebrate. Don't you wish you could come to our party, Jim Ross? Because I'm a partying kind of guy. Look at all the stuff we got here. I want to show you something. A congratulatory letter from my mother telling me how happy that she is that we won the belts. Don't read. It's against the law to read other people's mail, Jim Ross. You know what? Hey, look at there. The champagne is flowing. That is French champagne, Jim Ross. $100 a bottle, because when I do something, I do it right. Of course, I don't drink, but no. You go ahead. I don't begrudge Dennis and Bobby a little sip every now and then, but I'll drink my Pepsi later. Now, we also have some balloons.
Do you drink,
some
Mr.
plates.
TV announcer?
Hey, don't give him any. He's not invited. He's not invited. We have the napkins, as you can see. We have, I tried to hire a clown, but Boyd Pierce was all booked up, so I couldn't get that. But we've got everything else, and the main thing that I want to say is the people in the studio audience are not invited, because you people are going to see right now how much fun it is to be in the Midnight Express, and you're going to see why that we are the champions, but they can't come. And I'm going to say, shut up over there. This is our party. We can do anything we want to. And I'm going to say one more thing, Jim Ross. My mother was going to be here today, but unfortunately, she had a meeting to go to. She had to fly to New York and meet with E.F. Hutton, and she couldn't be here. But I know that you will extend your deepest regards to her. Won't you do that?
Oh, certainly, yeah, right. Very, very happy to be here.
Yeah, but anyway, and now, the piece de resistance. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, this beautiful cake right here. I normally don't let Dennis and Bobby eat sweets, but in this case, once again, I am going to make an exception, because they are the tag team champions of all the Mid-South. They will remain so for quite some time. Oh, see how exuberant they are? Oh, Bobby, don't slobber now, Bobby. That's not polite. Don't slobber. I know you're excited. They're going to party all night long. Isn't that like a song or something? Well, now don't go into that, boys. But anyway, what I'm going to do now, this cake is rather large, but you ain't never seen these boys eat. So I am going to, at this time, let the boys go over there and show these people how much fun you have when you're in the Midnight Express. But remember, don't let them join in because they're not invited.
They're not invited, right?
They're not invited. Just show them how much fun we have. And I'm going to cut this dad up here right now.
Okay.
And when I do, Jim Ross, you can't have any.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's quite a celebration going on here at ringside. Jim Cornette's very pleased that his men have become the Mid-South Tag Team Champions. They've got champagne. They've got a big, nice cake and everything. Whoa! Jim Cornette, the Rock and Roll Express.
Woo! Oh, what in the world is...
Oh!
That's beautiful. That's beautiful, Bill.
The Rock and Roll Express joined the party. I wonder if he invited them.
Woo!
Oh, look at it.
Jim Cornette has had his face slammed in the cake. Ladies and gentlemen, Cornette has got cake all over himself at the hands of the Rock and Roll Express. The party's over. The party is over. I'd like to be able to say something to Cornette here. Jim Cornette, I'd like to be able to get a word here. They're leaving. Let's go back to ringside and Bill Watts and Boyd Pierce.
Boyd, I'll tell you, I love it. I love it. It's about time, after all the horrible, degrading things that sissy has perpetrated on some real men in this ring. I love it. Thank you, Rock and Roll Express. You've made my day. You'll be back after these messages from Mid-South. And I get the tears out of my eyes. I don't think enough time for a match, but we got enough time. I think that you'll really enjoy, because I asked Oral Length just to pull up the final moments of the celebration of Jimmy Cornette, that sissy, when he finally got a little bit, just a small measure of what he has coming in this Mid-South area. Let's watch that now.
So I am going to, at this time, let the boys go over there and show these people how much fun you have when you're in the Midnight Express. But remember, don't let them join in because they're not invited.
They're not invited, right?
They're not invited. Just show them how much fun we have. And I'm going to cut this dad up here right now.
Okay.
And when I do, Jim Ross, you can't have any.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's quite a celebration going on here at ringside. Jim Cornette's very pleased that his men have become the Mid-South Tag Team Champions. They've got champagne. They've got a big, nice cake and everything. Whoa! Jim Cornette, the Rock and Roll Express.
Woo! Oh, what in the world is...
Oh!
That's beautiful. That's beautiful, Bill.
The Rock and Roll Express joined the party. I wonder if he invited them.
Woo!
Oh, look at it.
Jim Cornette has had his face slammed in the cake. Ladies and gentlemen, Cornette has got cake all over himself at the hands of the Rock and Roll Express. The party's over. The party is over. I'd like to be able to say something to Cornette here. Jim Cornette, I'd like to be able to get a word here. I'm here at ringside.
They know where you are. Just listen to me. This is the most disgusting, the most humiliating thing that has ever happened to me in my life. Look at me. I know where I've got cake. I am not used to being treated like this. I'm a Cornette. And I'm going to tell you something right now. It was bad enough once. I've talked to my mother's attorneys. I'm going to sue you. I'm going to sue Grizzly Smith or a Link. If I can get all these people served in the studio, I'll sue them too. It was bad enough you play the thing once and laugh at it, but you got to play it again and have everybody all over Mid-South Wrestling laughing at me with cake all over my face like an idiot. Now, what's Big Head doing here?
I don't want to butt in, but let me say one thing. I'm president of Mid-South, and I asked Oral Link to play this. It's not his fault. It's not Grizz's fault. It's not their fault. I think it was funny. I think it was great. I think it's about time you got what's coming to you. So if your mother wants to sue somebody, have her get her attorneys and sue me. And that's all
really?
I want to say to you.
Well, hey, I got something to say to you, Bill Watts. Let me tell you something. I've heard all the things.
Don't put your hands
Hey,
on me.
I'll do anything I want. I've heard all the names you've been calling me, all the things you've been saying about me the past few weeks. Let me tell you what I think of you, Bill Watts. I'm going to tell you, I think you're a washed-up cowboy. You think you're John Wayne or Marshall Dillon or something, riding the range for right and might. You come out here, who appointed you to be criticizing people, huh? Who made you the boss? You come out here, you criticize me, you criticize other people, but you take up for Bill Watts. You take up for your friends. Well, let me tell you something. I'm sick of you, Marshall Dillon. I'm sick of what you're saying about everybody. This is horrible. This is not something to be laughed at. And I'm going to tell you one thing. I will call my mother. I will have her send out enough money. Don't interrupt me, big mouth. You got a mouthful of memories, but you can't back them up anymore. I'm going to have her send out enough money that she'll buy controlling interest in your crummy Mid-South Wrestling Corporation, and I'm not going to fire you. I'm going to demote you down to the basement. I'm going to have you a janitor, swabbing out lavatories, cleaning bathrooms, picking up other people's garbage, and you know what else? I'm going to have your stupid, geeky-looking son, I'm going to have your geeky-looking son selling Midnight Express T-shirts.
First of all, keep your hands off of me, sissy. Let me tell you, I don't want to argue with you because I run out of words to say in an argument and then I settle it physically. And you're not equipped for it, sissy. And don't ever say anything about my family or my son. Now, I'm going to walk away. This is twice. I'm walking away.
Hey, I don't want you to come.
Whoa, wait just a minute. Wait just a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, wait. Let's go back. Let's get back to Boyd Pierce right away.
Well, I never seen like this. I know Bill Watts a long time. Jim Cornette may be sipping soup through a straw because I've seen that hand put a man out more than a baseball bat. That's all the time. Goodbye till next week on Mid-South Wrestling.
You know, Watts and Cornette get into it, and then Watts gets attacked by the Midnights.
Here we are with a man no stranger to pressure. A former North American champion, 265 pounds, Hacksaw Butch Reed, and we're going to see how bad he is to Rapper's Delight. Well, in just a few short moments, we'll be able to see how bad you are. You'll be in the ring with an outstanding young man, Terry Taylor.
Yeah, well, you know, Terry Taylor, he's a tough kid, and just what I said, a kid. But $10,000 makes my blood just flow. And I tell you one other thing, in this match right here, Bill Watts, I'm the uncrowned Mid-South champion, and I'm going to prove it to all these people out here just who the man is.
Somebody get this sissy out here. Just get him on out here. You're one match away.
One match.
You got to beat Taylor.
One match.
But then you'll be against, if you win against Crusher Khrushchev. Somebody get this sissy out of here. If you got something to say to me, say it later. Terry Taylor.
Terry Taylor, like I said before.
He has to go and find a tag team partner because he's going to come out of retirement one last time for the last Stampede, and he's a tag team partner. And at this point, in '84, JYD had lost a loser leaves town for 90 days. So Watts and Jim Ross go to find JYD, and Watts asks JYD to, hey, we'll waive the 90 days, just come back.
I am tired, Jim Ross, of hearing what used to be. Steak used to be 10 cents a pound. That's just a mouthful of memories. What I want to know is what can one man do? That is one man there. There's three of us, and believe me, that guy is a lunatic, and I don't ever go any place without Dennis and Bobby. But what can one man do to the Midnight Express?
Well, I think that better than I should answer the question, the Cowboy Bill Watts should answer the question. And if you'll sit right here where you are, we do have a commercial commitment to make, but if you'll sit right here where you are, he'll be out here, right here, after this commercial message, and we'll let him answer that question personally.
I have to make a phone call to my mother over there.
Ladies and gentlemen, Cowboy Bill Watts will join us momentarily. Now let's break for this network message. Find out exactly what Cowboy Bill Watts had on his mind. But Bill, after what happened here just a few weeks ago, what very controversial thing, I've talked to a lot of people around the country, and the first thing they ask is, what's Bill going to do? And I know better than they ask the man himself.
Well, like I said, to fine him doesn't do any good because his mama pays the fines, and to whip him won't do any good because everybody knows I can do that. So the thing you got to do, you got to humiliate him in such a way that anytime he hears my name, it's going to put chill bumps down his spine. And in order to do that, like he said, there's 3 of them. So I got to get a tough partner. You know, I've stayed in shape because I've always had a lot of pride, and I retired because I wanted to. But I'm not in the shape to go on a long campaign, so I only want to go one time, and I want everything riding on it, all the marbles on it, one time, one last stampede. Well, I took a little trip, Jim, and you were with me, and we went to Wadesboro, North Carolina, way out on a farm by Catfish Pond. We talked to somebody. Let's watch that now.
Oh, Jim, there's JYD. You see him clear on the other side of that pond there. Look at him lifting that iron. He's sure getting after it, Bill. Look at that fishing pole. You can barely see that fishing pole sticking in the ground there. He's got it made, don't he? He stays in shape and he keeps his head straight, I guarantee you. It looks like we're going to find a way around this old pond here. Hey, JY! Hey, man, it's Ross. How you doing? I guess this is a surprise to you. We coming through down here in Wadesboro, North Carolina to find you. Yeah, see what you're doing out this part of it. I got some problems, brother. I need to talk to you about some things. You fishing and lifting weights at the same time? Lifting a little boogie, man. Trying to get my mind clear. Yeah. Reckon we could tune this thing down a little. I got some important things I got to talk to you. These fishermen, man. They like that music. They come on here and No, I got some problems, brother, and I need some help. And you know, you and I've been together a long, long time. I got into it with Cornette and the Midnight Express, and to tell you the truth, they really worked me over. And I want one time to show them they can't get away with that, but I need a partner. And you and I, you know, been together a long time, and you're the one guy I can trust all the way down, and I need your help. I need you to come help me against that Midnight Express and that Cornette. Well, you know my deal, Bill. I made a promise that I used to keep my word. I said I was going to be gone for 90 days, and I know you need my help. And I know you did a lot of things for me. You helped me out of time of need, but my word always been my word, man. Your word has been good, but, bud, you know, one time I was retired and already out of it, and there's some guys that blinded you. 9 weeks you didn't see your baby. Freebird, Michael Hayes. And then they tried to get you again in St. Bernard, going to put you out completely. And I came to help you, didn't I? Yeah, you did, Bill. Well, I'm here and I'm in a jam, and you know, the thing about a deal like this is you got to have somebody you trust all the way. I know that too, Bill, but you know the thing that we always stood by, and you taught me as well as so my parents taught me, and I took a lot of things from you. My word is my bond, and that's what I'm going to try to stick by. So I'm going to be gone for 90 days, and I just got to be gone for 90 days. You never ask a man to go back on his word, especially a man whose word is his bond, because you're one of the last guys I know in this whole world that when you say something, you don't have to have it in writing or anything. When you shake hands on it, that's the way you are. I can't push you on that, but man, I'm in serious trouble. You know, I can't wait 90 days. I got to have one time only, and get it done and get it over with. I know you want that, Bill, but like I said, man, I know you helped me when I was down and out. And I promised I was going to do it for 90 days, and my word always have been my bond, and, you know, come a long way, and I can't go back and catch some of them big old catfish and get that music jiving and doing it. I understand. I'll see you when you get back. Okay. Hey, wait a minute. Wait. You know, I promise I'll be gone for 90 days. Gee, wait. But I do know somebody. Oh, yeah? Yeah. Now, I don't care too much for him because he say I owe him money. Say he wanted a North America belt and sent it back to me. And I don't trust the guy. The guy used to take my milk, but he's nasty, Bill. He likes to beat up people. Here right now, you like to beat up people. You're a street fighter, and this guy's real nasty. And you know exactly who I'm talking about. And that's S. Lee. And I'll tell you what, while you guys in town, he's still not too far from here.
which I know his parents pretty good. We might ride out there and try to walk him out a little bit. I try to get the guy to come out and fish with him, but I don't do well.
He's bad. I didn't even know he was free. I thought he'd been on a little R&R someplace where they didn't really, they kept pretty close tabs on you.
Yeah, he kept a little lead on his feet for a while. I got him a pole out there in the water, but I think the boy's selling free now.
Man, if we could find him, that'd be the next best thing. He's pretty tough. He used to whip you when you was a kid.
Yeah, I don't know if my old truck can make up in that muddy road. He stay way back over in the woods now, but we'll try to find him.
See what we can do.
All right.
And, we're Russell the Midnights. And JYD's like, I'm a man of my word. I can't come back. I'm not going to go back on my word. I lost the match. I'll be back in 90 days. But then at the end of that kind of vignette, he's like, why don't you go talk to Stagger Lee? Maybe Stagger Lee will be your partner.
Well, that was one out of the past, Stagger Lee. But I couldn't go down that road with you because nobody can see Stagger Lee's face. As a matter of fact, Jimmy told you when you made verbal contact to put a blindfold on because he wants to be sure he's under that mask to talk to you. And, well, you carry this part of it because you were involved. You were my agent in this.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's a very unusual circumstance, I must say. Let's watch the film now. I think it'll be self-explanatory.
Close enough.
That's you, Stagger Lee?
Who you come to see?
I come to see Stagger Lee.
Whose property is this?
Stagger Lee's property.
All right, then take that mask off so I can see your face. Now, what do you want?
Stagger Lee, I got a message for you.
Don't get too close to me.
Okay. I got a message for you. We're walking a long way. I've been trying to find you. Well, listen. Bill Watts has got a problem, and the junkyard dog said that he wouldn't let you come in here.
No, I ain't gonna let him come in. The boy owe me money. If I kick around my place, if I don't stick my dogs on him, I know he's back behind them bushes somewhere hiding because he told you to signal, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
So what did Cowboy Bill Watts want with the dog?
Cowboy Bill Watts?
He don't want the dog to do it. He wants Stagger Lee because he know that dog will trick him out of his money. The dog get the money and run off. S. Lee won't do that. So what do he want?
He needs you to come help him. He's got a bad problem. You know he's been retired. He got worked over pretty bad on television the other day by Jim Cornette, the Midnight Express. And he's going to come out of retirement for one time because he wants to get the Express. He's going to come out of retirement one time and go for it against them. And he wants you as his partner. He needs your help.
Hey, what about the money?
Cowboy Bill Watts has always been good for us.
Yeah, I heard he was a man of his word. You get back and you tell Cowboy Bill Watts that I'll help him. But you also give him another message. This world is only big enough for one mask, man, and that's S. Lee. Better known throughout the world behind the walls is Sweet Lee. So you get yourself on out of here, and you tell Bill Watts what I said. And you also tell him what I said about that mask, man. And make yourself scared. And don't get that junkyard dog and bring it back here no more. Get on off my property.
So Watts sends Jim Ross to find Stagger Lee. and then Jim Ross walks up to Stagger Lee, which is like in the woods somewhere. Yeah. And he's like, oh, Stagger Lee, JYD sent me. He's like, JYD? He owes me money. It's ridiculous. So Jim Ross gets Stagger Lee to become, Bill Watts' partner. Everyone in the world knows that JYD is Stagger Lee. It's the Midnight Rider. It's that it's that concept again. Actually done really, really well here, because they didn't make it like they've done it in the past where like Dusty did Midnight Rider, and like even Juan Cena from when they did that short-lived house show angle in the WWE, or the old dog where it's like, oh, I'm Brian Pillman's #1 fan, or I'm Barry Windham's #1 fan, or I just like the American Dream Dusty Rhodes, and Stagger Lee fucking hated JYD. And I thought that was just so nuanced. And it's like, oh, it's fantastic. So, they had the last stampede. Of course, they put Cornette in the diaper and the dress and feed him a bottle and all that other shit. And, typical Watt stuff here. Again, he's not booking at this part of 1984, the entire year. During this time, Bill Dundee is booking for Watts. Now, they made that big trade between Memphis and Mid-South. That's how they got the Rock and Roll. That's how they got the Midnights and Jim Cornette and a couple other dudes. But you see a lot of Memphis influence there, especially with the music videos. It seemed like they were making music videos in Memphis and sending them up to Watts because they used a lot of Memphis footage on that show, which is surprising. It's like, oh, shit.
Those wonderful Fabulous One promos?
Well, they did one. They did the exact same video that they did for the Fabulous Ones, for the Fantastics when they came in later on in '84. Or they're wearing the top hats and the shit. It's fucking weird as hell. But even Joel Watts, who's Bill Watts' son, he replaces the commentary team early on in '84 was Boyd Pierce and Bill Watts, and then there was Jim Ross and Bill Watts, and then eventually became Jim Ross and Joel Watts. And Joel Watts was very innovative in the music videos they did for Mid-South that they didn't get sent up for Memphis. So these are different videos that are actually really cool. They do a really good one for Frank Sinatra's My Way and a couple other ones that are really, really sweet. It would eventually get Joel Watts a job in the WWF later on, which is weird. But 1984 Mid-South, again, you look at the roster on paper, they're all legends, they're all Hall of Famers. You're like, I don't know about the matches on these. I don't know if they're going to be any good. But when you actually sit down and watch the matches, and they put a lot of stars versus star matches on TV, which is very different than any other promotion was doing at the time. Like, their TV show was really good. It was probably the best TV show at the time. So I think it was a number 1 Mid-South, number 2 Memphis, and then everyone else. Because Crockett's show wasn't that great at the time in '84. They would get better once they jumped on TBS, but that won't be until midway through '85. And WWF, you watch, Championship Wrestling or All-Star Wrestling for WWF, you're like, ah. And, we don't see a whole lot of Portland, and we don't see a lot of the other shows because they just don't exist anymore. So they're just, they're just lost. Hopefully they're in someone's basement somewhere. That we could get the treasure trove of TV shows that not are currently available on YouTube or anyone's private collection. But the cool thing about Mid-South is that not only is a lot of it on the WWE Network now, there's still a lot available on YouTube. So you can basically watch the entire year of '84 uninterrupted. But it's a really, really good show. Attention to detail and continuity in wrestling. It's refreshing almost. It's completely insane. We don't see you don't see that anymore. Or even in a lot of cases back then as well. So Matt, what are your thoughts on Mid-South Wrestling 1984?
Well, I think it's like a lot of things, the continuity part, which I think is really sorely missed nowadays. I think what they don't do is it's almost like they don't want to invest in their talent. Like, let's just go with it. Let the storyline build. I, for example, look at NXT with like Gargano and Tommaso.
Yeah.
And they let it build. They've had Gargano off TV for like 3 or 4 weeks now, like to sell the injury.
Yeah.
That's cool, like work things around, like give storylines time to evolve, and the fans will be interested. But if you just, if you watch and that from 1 week to the next, I'm challenging the Intercontinental Championship next week, I'm going to throw pancakes. Like, what? No. Come on now. It just, I think they did a really good example of showing how to do things the right way. I do think that we look back now and you say, how did a guy like this get so far? Like Jim Duggan, was he in prime snot match level authenticity? Maybe not, but it's fun to watch them grow. Like
Duggan's interesting to me because he was a big heel with Bourne and DiBiase, and then eventually they just make him the top babyface, and then he just goes to WWF at that point, and then his matches at that point. Even when he had matches like DiBiase and stuff, weren't the greatest thing for whatever reason. Maybe it's just the style, but in Mid-South, they were going after it, and it's like the big joke that everyone has. They're like, oh yeah, you think Hulk Hogan's a shitty worker? Watch him in Japan. You say Jim Duggan's a shitty worker, go watch him in fucking Mid-South. If you think Hercules is a shitty worker, go watch him in Mid-South. Even DiBiase to a degree, although DiBiase did have great matches in the WWF as well, but his matches in Mid-South were on another fucking level. It was insane. Yeah. But yeah, Mid-South, 1984, probably the best wrestling television show at the time. Even World Class, which is declining rapidly, post David Von Erich's death. Although they're doing some really cool stuff. And another thing that really stands out to me about wrestling during this era is you see fresh guys coming in and out almost constantly. And guys didn't really stay in one place all that long for the most part. We see, hey, Chris Adams in Mid-South in 1984. I thought he was in World Class, but he's, did a couple of shots over in Mid-South for whatever reason, doing whatever the fuck. But it's fucking Chris Adams, awesome.
Right.
It's just Flair's coming in to defend the belt, for no fucking reason. The PYT Express is there for 6 weeks, and they leave. And then the Midnights come out, it's we ran the PYT Express out of here. So you see, the guys transitioning in and out. And I think one of the things that hurt the territories wasn't that Vince rated talent. Vince took all the top guys. But what Vince did is that he took enough guys is that when Mid-South needed to reload and Crockett needed to reload, they couldn't. There was no more guys to bring in. Territories were built to lose guys on a fairly regular basis because guys didn't stay that long. You know, a year straight through is a long time for anybody in any promotions back in the day, unless they were like the part owner, like a Jerry Lawler or what have you. But you know, these guys didn't stay for very long, and when you needed to rotate your talent, and we see that issue today, you know, there's no one to fill in the gaps. You know, now in like the WWE, they're not even rotating talent. So you see a guy on fucking TV for fucking 10 years,
right?
Until you're fucking sick of him.
Like Big Show, Dolph Ziggler, like
Big Show, Dolph Ziggler,
Orton.
Randy fucking Orton. To go away like for a year, do something else, and you know these WWE just holds these guys for fucking ever, and it's like you can't come back and be something else. So you see them not evolving. There's no character development anymore. It's like, can you tell me anything about Randy Orton's character that we don't already know? He hasn't changed it in fucking 10 years. You know, there's nothing new about him. He's not fresh. He's like, ugh. To me, he's another guy in the card. Big Show, same way Dolph Ziggler. They're trying to do some stuff right now with him with Drew McIntyre. We'll see how that goes. But it's like, I want to see new guys. I want to see new guys kind of elevated. But no, everything is stagnant, it's stale, nothing's moving. And that's something we didn't get in the territories. Guys would move around all the time. And then you may have heard of a guy like in the magazines, like, oh shit, you know, this guy's in all the magazines. He's coming to your territory, your local territory. It's like, oh, you're kind of really excited to see him. So a lot of these guys have some buzz coming in. And it's like, oh, it's going to be awesome. And they get, you know, a lot of times they get put in main event spots right away, you know, and it's completely, you know, awesome. But nowadays, like, oh, okay, the guy's going to have another match on fucking SmackDown again. Awesome. So that is Mid-South Wrestling 1984 in a nutshell. Next up, Matt, do you want to tell us your experience on trying to get All In tickets? Now, guys, All In, which is the Young Bucks and Cody Rhodes, they're putting on this big show. It's going to be in the Sears Center, and that's what, September 1st? September 2nd? Yes. September 1st. September 1st. Yeah. So they're having the big star cast, doing the big convention that weekend. You know, they sold it out in 30 minutes. It's 10,000 seats. They accomplished their goal. And Matt here and a couple of our buddies tried to get tickets, and Matt, what happened with the ticket situation?
Well, we did this thing where we were like, okay, let's, instead of us all trying to meet there, we'll just get a group of tickets together and sit together. So one of the guys who had the fastest connection was like, oh, I'll handle it. Like, all right, great. And I thought in the back of my head, maybe I should try to get him anyways. I was like, nah, whatever. So I didn't. And we actually had 5 seats together, and he was going through the process of purchasing them. And then, poof, gone. And he couldn't get back in to get them by the time he did, like, you know, waiting in the virtual room.
Yeah.
Not good enough. So, unfortunately, we'll not be going to All In. Although, if I want to spend, like right now on StubHub, they have tickets for the upper decks. This is like the corner.
Obstructed view behind a fat lady, most likely.
This seat is upper 200, which is, imagine like when the wrestlers come out for like Raw.
Yeah.
All right. They stood, turned to their right, and like gave the finger to the top fans, like kind of behind the jumbotron.
Yeah.
That's your seats. So upper 200, going for 150 and up. If you're looking for, you know, if I go for like ringside, 300. 925 for one side of the ring.
I heard there was only like less than 100 available on the secondary market at this point.
$1,200 for the tickets facing the camera. Yeah, I mean, the good news is I think they're going to have a second show and probably do it in a 30,000 seat stadium or 20,000 and easily sell it out. It's going to be great. They're doing a whole thing too, where they're doing like kind of a wrestling weekend, if you will. Like
it's going to be like a WrestleMania weekend, or you know, like a WrestleCon, and they're doing the StarCast, and they're bringing in a lot of the legends, and you'll be able to get autographs and photo ops, and it's going to be a really big deal. If I was allowed out of the States, I probably would be attending, but I'm not currently allowed out of the States. Take that for what it's worth.
Here's my idea. Now, remember WrestleMania? There's all those shows nearby. Like there was NXT TakeOver. There's also like the other shows down in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Like all the other venues that had, you know, shows going on, like wrestling shows that weekend. What if instead of All In, we have a show with all new rookie talent called Just the Tip?
A bunch of no names on the show.
Right.
I'm wondering out loud if the WWE is gonna try to counter program that. Like, they're gonna throw a show out there just to see what would happen, like in United Center or whatever they're calling it now. Just to see, because they did that to the WrestleCade.
Yeah.
They did this arcade in Greensboro or wherever the fuck they had it, and they kind of programmed it. I wonder if they're gonna let them, like, let's see what they do. But it's already sold out, so you're not gonna affect them that way. But you're gonna try to, get some of the smart mark money by throwing an NXT show over there. My
concern is that I've heard they don't have official camera and TV work or filming.
They had no intention of filming this or streaming this live. That may change. They got to September to figure it out, but
that would blow.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people would want to see it. I think a lot of people would pay. It would be $20 to stream this. I think there'd be a lot of.
If I'm Ring of Honor, why don't I make a deal with them and say, we'll give you a blank.
Well, I think that's a smart play on their part. I know they're helping out with some of the legalities of this show, from what I understand, in terms of getting licenses and all that kind of insurance and that kind of stuff. So if I was a High Spots or I was a Ring of Honor, I would just try to stream this. And I guess the most notable news is that the NWA World Championship is going to be in the main event.
Yeah, that's cool.
So Cody Rhodes will be going after whoever the NWA champion is at the time. And that could be real interesting because I think a lot of us would like to see Cody win the NWA World Championship. And that's a hell of a story to be told. I'm also wondering out loud if a lot of these tickets were sold based on people thinking that there was a possibility that CM Punk might show up there. And I wonder if he doesn't show up there, will they just be disappointed? Like, they haven't advertised Punk, they haven't talked about Punk, they have nothing about Punk. But it is in Chicago. Punk's pretty tight with these guys.
Right.
And if he doesn't appear, will people be disappointed? And if he doesn't appear, when they go to try to do the next one, will it be a diminished return on that? That's what I'm wondering. So hopefully people don't get their hopes up because you don't want them to be disappointed. Or, if he's not coming, I would just state now that, he's not going to be there, guys. They kind of get in front of it. You don't know. So he might be the fucking bear. They might attack someone. Who knows? And that'd be real fucking interesting. But great job by Cody and the Young Bucks and that whole crew. I know Dusty would be real fucking proud of this. Dusty being a booker and promoter herself. So, he's looking down with a big smile on his face. I'll tell you that much. So, great, great job, guys. So I look forward to see what transpires. Hopefully I get to watch it on some sort of streaming network or maybe they'll sell DVDs after the fact. We'll see what happens because there's no reason not to because they're already sold out. Give it a shot, see what happens. Up next, WWE sells SmackDown for $1 billion.
Yeah.
It's $1 billion show. So we're getting reports that the Fox Network, not Fox Sports 1, Fox Network, have purchased the licensing rights for SmackDown, and it looks like they'll be airing it on Friday nights. Your local Fox station, or your local Fox, it's Channel 5 here in New York. I don't know what it is by anywhere else, but Fox 5 here in New York. $1 billion fucking dollars. I wonder when Vince in 1999 was coming up with the concept of SmackDown that he ever thought in his wildest fucking dreams that he would get $1 billion for that show. That's fucking nuts. And, put wrestling weekly back on network, legitimate network television, not UPN, but legitimate network TV. It's a big fucking deal. And I'm wondering what else Fox got out of this deal because to me that seems like a lot of money for that show. It seems like they overspent a little bit, but we'll get into reasons why I think they overspent. Unless they're getting a WrestleMania.
Oh, on the station itself?
On the station. It will be simulcast on the network and on Fox. Imagine the fucking rating number that would do. I think it would be huge.
So it would be like, it says Super Bowl 75, WrestleMania 40.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That could be a big... Like, if I was Fox, I would try to get... At most, WrestleMania, I would try to get 4 pay-per-views. For, the big 4. Royal Rumble, Survivor Series, WrestleMania, and SummerSlam. If I couldn't get those, I would just try to get WrestleMania because that's a lot of fucking money. You know, I don't think Raw got that much. You know, when they're negotiating their deal for the USA Network, I don't think Raw's going to get that much. One of the reasons why they're paying out the nose for this, which I consider a lot of money, is that the way television works now. You know, there's not must-see TV anymore. Everything, you know, DVR, you watch it later, you watch it when it's convenient. There's not a lot of things out there that will get people to watch something when it first comes out or when it's live or what have you in terms of television shows. Now, sports, again, is one of the reasons why all the sports, you know, leagues out there, Major League Baseball, football, basketball, they're getting extreme amount of money because once the baseball game ends, once the basketball game ends, once the wrestling ends, you're not going to rewatch it historically. You know what I mean? That's something that will get people in front of the TV live, and that's big bucks for advertisers.
Right.
So that's one of the reasons I think they paid out the nose for this. You know, I don't know if there's still negotiations with the UFC. I don't think they are anymore. But that's a big deal. And that's a lot of fucking money. $1 billion for 5 years.
Yeah.
So, you know, WWE making money hand over fist. And it's not due to the quality of their wrestling product, due to the quality of their business acumen, because their wrestling product is not the greatest right now. But again, you don't have to have the greatest product, you have to have the greatest marketing. Obviously, if McDonald's sells the most hamburgers, they don't have the best hamburgers, we know this.
Right.
And oftentimes, the summer blockbuster that grosses the highest amount of money historically does not win Academy Awards. But when it comes to wrestling, if it doesn't matter what kind of product you're putting out there, why would you seemingly put out a product that is subpar? Because it's like they just want it to be not good. Like, the storylines are shit. The booking is suspect at best. We just saw the Bobby Lashley, Sami Zayn with the Lashley sister thing that died a fucking death on TV.
Right.
Almost as bad as This Is Your Life Bailey. Like, that fucking level of fucking bad. And it's like, someone fucking greenlit this shit? Like someone approved this? Vince, you approved this? What? That's awful. You know, I don't fucking get it at all. Like, there's no payoff there. Are you gonna have the Sami Zayn versus Bobby Lashley match? Is that gonna sell tickets? I don't know. Maybe. I doubt it though. Is that gonna draw a rating? No. So, you know, nothing draws. That's how wrestling works today in the WWE. Nothing draws. What draws is the WWE, plain and simple. Doesn't matter who's in the main event. Doesn't matter what they put on their show. Those 3 letters are the draw. You know, whether that's good or bad or indifferent is the way it is. That being said, with so many different options out there today, like, you're not a slave to the WWE. You know, if you're not liking the WWE, watch Lucha Underground. If you don't like Lucha Underground, watch MLW. If you don't like MLW, watch Ring of Honor. If you don't like Ring of Honor, watch CZW. If you don't like CZW, watch PWG. If you don't like PWG, watch AAA. If you don't like AAA, watch New Japan. Like, there's fucking options out there for you. So you're not beholden to the WWE in any form or fashion. Now, a lot of people out there will say things like, if you don't like it, don't watch. And when it comes to fans and fans' relationships with the product itself, with the WWE, no one watches the show hoping that it will be bad. Like, no one does that. Everyone's like, all right, I'll tune in next week. Maybe we'll get better this week. And it doesn't. Maybe we'll get better next week. It's like watching your favorite sports team. If your favorite sports team is bad, you're still going to watch, and you're probably going to bitch. But the next game you're going to watch, and you're probably going to bitch. And that's kind of how it works. And I think a lot of people have a hard time grasping that concept. Even wrestlers themselves, they say, oh, you know, we had a wrestler, Bobby Roode said something on Twitter like last week or something like that. You know, if you don't like it, don't watch.
Yeah.
Which makes no sense, because if you did that in Hollywood, imagine an actor coming out on Jimmy Fallon is like, oh, you don't like my movies, don't watch them. The fucking studio will fucking chop your head off. It's like, what are you doing, you dick? You know, so it's like, that all goes into a whole scenario about wrestlers and insecurities, and they seemingly are thin-skinned for whatever reasons, and they don't really take criticism all that well. It could be an insecure thing because maybe in their own minds they don't think they're real athletes or real fighters or what have you. I think they're real athletes as anyone out there. Just because what they do is predetermined doesn't mean that they're not a fantastic athlete. And I think there might be some insecurity issues there. So I don't know. So Matt, what are your thoughts on the WWE and their $1 billion deal?
Well, I think it could be a quote-unquote game changer. I mean, obviously they're looking to make extra revenue in any way you can. Just look at like the recent Supreme Court decision to strike down making gambling illegal for sports betting. And Mark Cuban was talking about how, this is going to open up more revenue for us as owners. So not saying you're going to bet on wrestling per se, but more to the point of you're looking for any possible revenue point. I remember back when I was working at Home Depot, one of the things that always stuck out to me was how they had this vision for the future where there was never a finite point of revenue. Like, oh, no, we can keep making money. And my first store was like an $80 million store a year. Just a monster. And within 10 years, there was 10 more stores around us. And we were making $35 million, 36. And they'd rail the managers not doing better. How do you not do better sales-wise? We've got so many stores. There's a finite amount of people. Right. Well, there's a finite amount of viewers. And I think you're right. I think advertising-wise, you want to talk about making the next Super Bowl as an event, WrestleMania on Fox would totally be that.
Yeah.
You'd have celebrities. You would have all kinds of entertainment, music, whatever. We've seen over the years various music acts. Not that any of them are any good practically, but, still. I'm thinking back to some of the Machine Gun Kelly. No. But it's a case where, they're going to try to get every single dollar they can. And you don't blame them for it. But I think if this is about the future WWE, that's great. But if this is a thing where we're going to fund the XFL with this. I could just call me worried about it. But, yeah, I don't know. I just worry that's going to be a thing.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes. I wonder if any of this money will trickle down to the boys. Because, as we know, trickle down economics doesn't work. So hopefully everyone gets a lot of raises. Because I would, if my deal's coming up, like if I'm Brock Lesnar and my deal's coming up soon, I'm like, I would be asking for a lot of fucking money, boss.
I think it was that guy Allen on Twitter. I can't think of the name of the feed right now. Like chair shot something. But I think he made the point that I really agree with. Like, okay, so you're telling me I made this huge deal, but you can't have a personal insurance for all the crew that works there? Like, they got to be independent contractors? At some point, they're going to unionize. Something's going to happen. I've always been more amazed that wrestlers didn't unionize more along the lines of stuntmen union. Like, they're doing stunt work.
Yeah.
You're performing.
I don't know. They should be in SAG anyway, so.
Right.
We'll see how that goes, so. Next up, Matt, you had some thoughts on some rigged sports. Tell me about this.
Well, having watched the NBA this week, where the Celtics went up 2-0 on the Cavs, and it looked like a pretty much set series. Like, okay, might go 5, but this is pretty much a done deal. And a friend of mine was saying, well, it's the NBA, they're going to rig it. And the problem with that is that when you were a kid, do you remember the first time someone said, wrestling's fake? And you're like, no. And then you're like, wait a minute.
No, I never thought that wrestling was real.
No, I was just saying, they pick, because everyone who ever, almost everyone who ever said to me, oh, so how do they pick the winners? And how this, they don't understand the mechanics of wrestling.
Right.
And for me, when you have owners in a league that make 50, 60, let's say 70 million on a series, if it's done right, or whatever it may be, tons of money, and you have a history of people who have, we have Tim Donaghy. I think the NBA is the most likely league to be rigged. If it was if we were saying what sport's next to be the one's rigged, and maybe the folks who are listening, you can comment below and say what sport you think is rigged, because it could be international soccer, which there's been times people have fixed scoring, and when that court decision came down about legalizing gambling, there was Meta World Peace, which I forget his real name, but he was
Ron Artest.
Thank you. Yeah. And he was like, this is going to be bad because people will start rigging games. And I can see that. But it's they're already doing it. It's so obvious. There's one referee called Scott Foster.
Yeah.
And his home record for the home team is something like, I want to say, like, let's say 30-0. Like the home team wins when he does that. Home cooking, to send the series back to whatever town it's going to extend this. Now the Celtics series, or the series here in the NBA Eastern Conference Finals, is going to be at least 6 games long. It just, I don't know. It's one of those things that if you told me what sport you think is rigged, I would say basketball.
To me, it's hockey.
Hockey?
Hockey is fake. You never saw those signs that were all from back in the day? Hockey is fake.
No.
Unfucking believable. Yeah. We live in the Matrix anyway. Everything's predetermined. Everything's fake. Nothing's real.
Bum, bum, bum.
Okay, up next we have our Wrestler Spotlight, and we're going to start off with this edition of Wrestler Spotlight with, I know, one of your favorites, Matt.
Oh, boy.
Abdullah the Butcher.
Nice.
Introduce myself. It hasn't been that long. You people know who I am. But more important, standing beside me is the All-Asian champion and the greatest attraction in professional wrestling today. And I want to issue fair warning to the wrestling fans and the wrestlers in particular in the Metroplex that I am preparing an onslaught into this area. You people may not like me, but you have to admit that what I tell you is the truth. And you are about to see something more devastating than anything that you have ever seen in the past. And I will go so far as to say something more devastating than anything that you can even imagine. And if there's the slightest doubt in your mind or anyone else's, I want you to focus your eyes on the television screen, because you are about to see the greatest attraction in professional wrestling today. The wild man from the Sudan, remember the name, Abdullah the Butcher. The Butcher, the Butcher.
So, Matt, what are some early memories of Abdullah?
I think my first real experience with Abdullah was the Lord of the Rings VHS tape.
Yes.
And he was fighting Carlos Colon in a brutal, bloody match. I remember him basically blading like on the spot, like just insanely amounts of blood. So yeah, that was my first experience with Abdullah.
I, James J. Dillon, will present Abdullah the Butcher. Yes, soon to arrive in person in all the arenas in this area is the greatest attraction in professional wrestling today, the wild man from the African Sudan, Abdullah the Butcher. Now, I've had a few people question this man's credentials. Just the fact that he is under my wing should be indication enough to you people of this man's ability. But certainly, no one sitting here viewing me at this moment could question the credentials of Harley Race. Yes, the National Wrestling Alliance World Heavyweight Champion. I would like to take you people back approximately 8 months ago, prior to the time in which Mr. Race won the heavyweight championship from Terry Funk. I would like to take you back again to the Orient. The scene is Osaka, Japan, and I want you people to take a good close look and digest what you are about to see. What took place following that match some 8 months ago in Osaka, Japan is history. Harley Race went on to win the world's heavyweight championship as recognized by the National Wrestling Alliance. But what's important is you people know the reputation of Harley Race, you know the man's ability, and you saw that my Sudanese wild man, Abdullah the Butcher, met him punch for punch, kick for kick, and whatever else it took. The bad blood still exists, but the important thing at this point is that Abdullah the Butcher is coming. I can feel it coming from my toes right up through my body to the end of my fingertips. That little tingling. I can feel the beads of perspiration on the palms of my hand. Fritz von Erich, can you feel it? Are your palms damp? Jose Lothario, are the little beads of perspiration breaking out on your forehead? And how about you, Dusty Rhodes? Maybe some of that jibing that you've been laying on these people it ain't going to get it anymore. Abdullah the Butcher is coming. You've seen the man, remember the name. Abdullah the Butcher. The Butcher! The Butcher.
Now, the first time I saw Abdullah was a little bit later. I saw him like in, I think it was 91 or 92, WCW, when he's doing that thing where he's teaming up with Cactus Jack. He came out of the box to attack Sting, and then him and Cactus Jack were a tag team. And the thing I always remember vividly about Abdullah the Butcher, it's Van Hammer versus Cactus Jack in a Falls Count Anywhere match. And they're like in the back area, and it's like stables with horses and shit, right? So they're fighting where the horses are. And out of nowhere, this black dude with a cowboy hat that he's chunky fucking hits fucking Van Hammer with a fucking shovel. It's Abdullah the Butcher and a cowboy hat, which is ridiculous to me. And then at the end of that match, he picks up Missy Hyatt and throws her in a trough for no reason.
Who hasn't done that?
For real. There was also the time where I believe it was the Lethal Lottery Battle Bowl, where they do this thing where, you know, they do Lethal Lottery, and it's Sting and Abdullah the Butcher. And Abdullah comes out with a big smile on his face and all this stuff. He comes out with a big smile, happy that he's going to be Sting's tag team partner. And then he just starts beating up Sting for no reason. And they're on the same team. They do end up winning the match. I know Flying Brian was one of the other participants. I don't remember who the other one was. But it was completely insane. So Abdullah Butcher started at 17 years old in 1958. He's from Windsor, Ontario, Canada. Again, he's very knowledgeable in judo and karate, which he puts on display quite a bit. He had different managers throughout the years. He had various managers throughout the years. Would it be Gary Hart, Paul Jones, Eddie Creechman, the Grand Wizard, J.J. Dillon, Damian Kane, Larry Sharp, Cheeky Star, Oliver Humperdinck, Buddy Colt, George Cannon, Bearcat Wright, Big Bad John, Gentleman Jim Holiday, Rock Hunter. They all pretty much portrayed as his handler. So he never spoke. You never heard anything he said. He spent a lot of time over in Calgary. Spent the majority of his time in Japan, which, he's a big star over in Japan. He even starred in some movies and commercials over there.
Yeah, I've seen some of his stuff over there.
He's very known for the fork gimmick, where he stabs someone in the head with the fork. Spent time in WCW, and he spent time in ECW, and I think all the way up until like 2012. I think he wrestled too. 2011, 2012, he wrestled too. So he had a very extensive career. Made a ton of money, and he opened up an Abdullah House of Chinese Food and Ribs. It's funny when you look at Abdullah. Do you find him to be Arab of any? No. Like, to me, like, he would be Northern African. I guess if that's the gimmick. I guess maybe he's Larry from Canada. You know what I mean?
Right.
To me, he doesn't seem like someone that would be prototypical being from Sudan. Again, I don't. It's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like it's North Africa. So I guess they got that right, which the Sudan is in. But he wrestled everyone from Inoki to Baba to Bruiser Brody, which is one of his notable opponents. He was tag team partner, and a lot of people consider him a protege to the original Sheik. Fought Terry Funk, Kevin Sullivan, all these guys.
And anybody, anywhere, that does not fear name of the almighty Abdullah the Butcher is either an insane fool or they're lying to you. This man that you see is not an ordinary being. He has reigned terror in the wrestling business. He has reigned terror in the wrestling business for more years than any man. There ain't a single human being that can say deep in their heart that they do not fear the baddest of the bad, the biggest of the big, the black terror that is going to change things at TBS. He's here for a purpose. He's here for a reason. Everybody that has shunned me that has made light of me, the Black Monster, will take care of everything. Because there's only one. Abdullah, the Butcher, the real boogeyman, has arrived on TBS. On the net.
But yeah, man, Abdullah the Butcher, man, one of the craziest dudes in the history of wrestling. You know, had some controversy in the last couple of years where he was accused of infecting other wrestlers with hepatitis C through sharing a blade or cutting wrestlers without their knowledge. He did actually lose a lawsuit for $2.3 million.
Wow.
Because of that. So I don't know if he paid that or he can pay that, or you know, people do hide their money. You know what I mean? You know, if you owe someone money through a lawsuit, doesn't mean you necessarily pay them. So,
right.
But yeah, that is Abdullah the Butcher, the madman from the Sudan. You think he carried that 360 pounds for a fucking long time? I'm surprised. Now, he's not a spring chicken. He's 77 years old at this point.
Yeah.
That's a lot of weight. That's a big man to be carrying around that weight for a long time.
I do have a theory.
Yeah.
That if you are heavy for most of your life, your body's used to it.
Yeah.
Whereas if you put on a ton of weight out of the blue or something happens and your body changes, that your body is not used to it, and it's like puts more torque on the engine, so to speak. So that's my theory of people that like to live like, oh, that guy's been like around forever. He's huge. He's unhealthy. Not that I'm saying it's, always a sure thing, but
yeah, he's a big fucking dude. I mean, not tall, just fucking wide as all hell. Always wore his fucking pants super high. And rumor would state that he would bring his wallet. He would hide his wallet in his trunks.
Really?
Yeah, because he didn't trust anyone in the back. He tried to steal his money.
Oh, yeah, I can see that happening.
All right, and next we have one of my favorites, and I know one of your favorites, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Fans, right here, we want to bring this man to you, Ric Flair. Rick, I was stunned, and I know you were, and all of the fans heard what Harley Race said.
Well, let me tell you something. Race will stop at nothing to eliminate me from the wrestling scene now, because he knows that I am the rightful champion and that at any given time I can beat him, and I'm going to do it before it's all said and done. $25,000 on me doesn't mean a damn thing with guys like this guy right here. Come here, Rick. He's got something important to say, too.
Hey, Rick, I'm sorry to
That's
bust in
okay.
on the interview.
Rick Steamboat.
I'm not busting in on the interview. I've never seen Youngblood in so much pain. Right after he finished wrestling, he needs all that oxygen and air. The man can hardly breathe backstage. He's either got some broke, cracked ribs, 2 or 3. We're not sure. The house doctor's looking at him right now. What am I to do? Briscoes, we wanted you so bad. We wanted to get those belts back so bad. Right now, I'm standing alone. I'm without a partner for a while. You've heard Youngblood. What am I to do? What am I to do,
What
Rick?
you can do, brother? You need a partner right now, and I need a partner right now. And if it's agreeable to you, anytime, anywhere you got the Briscoes, you can count on Ric Flair, brother. And I know that I can count on you when Harley Race puts a $25,000 bounty.
You can count on me.
All right.
$25,000 bounty. Mr. Harley Race, you're going to have to go through me. This man's giving me his word as a partner. I'm giving him my word as a partner. We've got a bond right here and now.
Briscoes, Harley Race, it makes no difference, brother. We're in town and we're taking care of business.
Together and it feels so good.
All right.
Woo! So, Matt, what are some of your earliest memories of Ricky Steamboat?
Well, definitely his WWE stuff.
Yeah.
In the 80s. But I always laugh because I was watching WrestleMania 1 the other day, and 2 of the roommates were walking through going, who's that guy? Because it was, he's super jacked. He always was, but like he was super, super jacked. And I go, it's Ricky Steamboat, and they're like, Steamboat? No, these are non-wrestling fans, so it's always like a good, interesting little balance.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's just like, so well, his real name is Richard Blood. Why would you use that?
Because he was from Hawaii, and there was a famous Hawaiian wrestler named Steamboat, so that's why they gave him the name Steamboat.
That's how it happened.
Yeah.
Ricky, first off, I know physically that you're back in action, but mentally, what took place on national television had to take its toll.
You know something, Kenny? That's very, very true. The weeks that ran into 2 months that I laid up, and each weekend I'd watch wrestling every weekend like everybody else. Listen to Randy Savage proclaim the fact that he put me out of wrestling. I had the tape on my TV set and watched it time and time again. And you would think that a man that would still hold some morals as a professional wrestler, being an Intercontinental Champion, second only to Hulk Hogan, our champion. But to do what he did, I'd like to ask him a general question, Savage, and that is, coming off the top rope with a 20-pound bell, let me ask you something, my friend. How much control do you feel, do you think you had, jumping off the top rope and coming down on my throat with that bell?
Well, Ricky, there's no question from that height with a bell, there's no way he had any control whatsoever.
That's understandable, and that's the reason why I talk the way I do. It's your fault. And the reason I feel the way I do towards you, Savage, it's also your fault. I'm not crying over spilled milk. Believe me, I'm giving you warnings. Warnings, my friend, that wherever we should meet, talk to some of my opponents and what they've done to me in the past. Kenny, you've seen them. When this dragon gets on fire, his opponents burn.
But yeah. So Rick Steamboat started training in 1974. He was trained by Vern Gagne and the Iron Sheik. Imagine having the Iron Sheik as your trainer. How insane that must have been.
They make you humble.
Yeah, Breaking Back. He went from the AWA to Championship Wrestling to Florida. That's where Eddie Graham gave him the name Ricky Steamboat, based on his resemblance to Hawaiian wrestler Sammy Steamboat. According to Steamboat, Graham thought that Rick Blood was a good name for a heel, but not a face. Which makes sense. In 1977, he went over to Jim Crockett Promotions, where he spent quite a bit, quite a long time, from 77 to 85. Had those fantastic matches with Ric Flair. They kind of came up together, and those guys had like instant chemistry. He would go on to feud with, Paul Jones, the Baron Rasky, Sergeant Slaughter, and Don Canoodle, Wahoo McDaniel, but ended up leaving the NWA due to creative differences with Dusty Rhodes. When people say creative differences with Dusty Rhodes, especially when you're babyface, you're thinking like, Steamboat didn't want to be the number 2 or number 3 babyface under Dusty. So that's what I was thinking. He does go into the WWF in 1985, and he's, that's when he coins the moniker the Dragon. So he's Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Again, they're definitely going after like a Bruce Lee type vibe here with him, especially when they did the vignette on TNT when he's fighting ninjas. They're definitely going with a kung fu and a Bruce Lee type thing here. He was in WrestleMania 1. Again, one of the few guys, probably the only guy that was in the first 2 arcades and the first WrestleMania. Came in during that rock and wrestling, era, and was, pretty close to the top. One of the top babyfaces in the promotion. And then eventually, by the time they get to 1987, he is feuding with Randy Savage over the Intercontinental Championship, and they have that match at WrestleMania 3 that steals the show. Again, I don't have to put over how good this match is. Everyone knows it. And I think it still holds up. A lot of people say that match doesn't hold up, but I watched that pretty recently, like last week. That match is still fucking good.
Yeah.
It's fucking good. I mean, it may be the best match up to that point. Obviously, there's probably other matches that may have surpassed it. Again, styles do change and what have you, but that match was fucking fantastic. He drops the Intercontinental Championship to the Honky Tonk Man, takes some time off to see the birth of his son and be there for his wife. Comes back in 88 and doesn't really do a whole lot. He was at WrestleMania 4. He gets beat by Valentine, but then he moves on to WCW when, again, he has these fantastic matches. The trilogy, the holy trilogy of matches with Ric Flair.
In Nashville, Tennessee, at the Music City Showdown, Wrestle Wars 89. And speaking of next Sunday afternoon, I'm joined once again by the heavyweight champion of the world. Well, Ric Flair was out here earlier in all his splendor with the beautiful ladies. He said he was going to be here wrestling next week. He's at the top of his game. He'll be here next week on the program to, I think, essentially spread his stuff.
You know something, Jim Ross? That's something that a lot of wrestlers don't know about Ric Flair, and that's the way he can intimidate a person, a professional wrestler, to the point of actually shallowing back, cowarding back, have second thoughts about a man like that. But when this is on the line and all the prestige is behind it, and actually what it boils down to, what kind of a man that you become and represent throughout the whole world, you can't let a man that can intimidate you through his mouth make you back up and take a back seat.
I know that your rivalry, and speak of the devil, and up he comes. Here he comes again. Well, I want you to, I hope, and I don't have to implore this to you too drastically to maintain your composure. You always have. I know what happens when you guys get together here on the Superstation.
Well, Jim Ross, if you check our track record, and any time that the two of us have gotten this close to each other, that something almost happened.
What do you, I didn't hear anybody invite you back out.
Oh, when your name's Ric Flair and you're traveling a company like this, you don't need an invitation, right, Jim Ross? If I were to knock on your door in Dallas and have this in my arms, you'd say, come on in, Nature Boy, the party's on. Well, here we are, and you know what? I've never been accused of being a master of intimidation. I'm Slick Rick, I'm Space Mountain, and I'm going to be the next world heavyweight champion. I want the whole world to know that I recognize you as the greatest single athlete that I have ever competed against. I want the world to know that. My body, you asked that. I brag about you to Christy every night. Bottom line, I say, Christy, there's only one man in the world like Ric Flair, and that is Rick Steamboat. But pal, in Nashville, the bottom line is I've got to win the world title to survive in my kind of world. Woo! You know something, Rick? You've told the people here about your lifestyle. You've actually shown everybody out here your lifestyle. And to maintain that type of lifestyle, you have to be the champion to collect all that kind of money for you to continue on, for you to feed yourself. You've gotten up here and you also said that you're going to be out here next week on TV, just to show everybody that you're ready and how sharp you are. Well, I'm going to be out here next week also to show everybody that I'm going to be ready for you to take you just one more time in Nashville.
Both the champion and the challenger on this program next week.
Jim Ross, Ric Flair is going to be here live and in color, looking, woo, as only he can look.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Dragon, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back. Michael Hayes and Steve Casey are coming up next.
The best one of the three is the one at New Orleans in the Superdome. Like that, I think is the best one. But
yeah,
you know, everyone has different opinions about that. But again, fucking awesome. He ended up winning the NWA championship, and he was the last NWA world champion to defend the belt in All Japan Pro Wrestling in a match against Tiger Mask. So,
Okay, Steamboat, showtime. 2 weeks from tomorrow, pal. I can see it now. The Nature Boy gonna bring every good-looking woman from all points of this land. The Stouffer's Hotel in Nashville, Tennessee, gonna be the site of the grandest victory party of all time. Because you see, on May 7th, Ric Flair 6 times. Think about it. 6 times, Steamboat. Yes, my friend, woo, you are the man. And yes, my friend, you did beat the man. But now, pal, the heat's on. 2 weeks from tomorrow, buddy, you've got to walk that aisle. And in the back of your mind, pal, you know this time it's my last chance, and I won't be denied. 2 weeks from tomorrow, Steamboat, you're gonna be mine! Woo!
Wrestling fans, you don't think that I know what I'm up against. A man like Ric Flair coming after this championship belt for the last chance in Nashville on May the 7th. You don't think that my back is up against the wall, knowing that this man is probably going to finish his career if he doesn't get this championship belt back. The pressure is on me. I've got to prove myself once again. The competition is knocking down the doors. Everybody wants a chance at Ricky Steamboat. Everybody wants a chance, and they think that they can beat the Dragon.
Well, Ric Flair, all these heavy-duty competitors around the world that are after me have put my back up against the wall once again. This is why this is going to be your last chance. Chicago was a day for me. New Orleans was a day for me. But we're coming down to May 7th here in Nashville. Me, my family, you coming back for the last chance.
Again, after that, after his run in WCW, he does come back to the WWF as the Dragon and starts spitting fire, which is weird. But he came out literally looking like a fucking dragon. Was your prototypical, mid-card babyface, not doing a whole lot with them. He goes back to WCW in 91, does some cool stuff with, win the World Tag Team Championship with Shane Douglas. He won with the World Television Championship. And then had this amazing feud with Rick Rude, which is fucking awesome. Watched like 90, I think it was 92 matches with fucking Rick Rude. Oh, those are fucking awesome. And then by the time we get to 1994, he's feuding with Steve Austin over the United States Championship, and they're having fucking fantastic matches.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I guess this time, United States heavyweight champion, stunning Steve Austin. You may think you've got things going your way, but that's not exactly true.
Things are going my way, Gene Okerlund, because I've shown the world, I've shown everyone in World Championship Wrestling that no one can beat stunning Steve Austin. I'll be the United States champion as long as I want to be. The thing that gets me, though, the most is this Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Let's talk about him.
Let's talk about Ricky Steamboat, because here's a guy I used to respect. But this is a guy that's so damn stupid, he'll never learn from his past mistakes. He'll never learn what it takes to beat Steve Austin. You're going to have to go into the rule book, Ricky Steamboat, because there's no way that you can beat me. The whole facade, the stupid little lizard pipes, he spits the fire. Who cares? No one cares. Little kids might care. Oh, yeah, that's just fine and dandy.
I recall recently that that's not the way things went exactly.
Things are going my way. As far as I'm concerned, Ricky Steamboat can do all the stupid little tricks he wants to do, because he's not impressing me one bit. And I've still got the United States belt.
Hold on.
Oh, come on out here, you old piece of trash.
Piece of what? Steve Austin,
you got something to say to me, son?
You know something mean, Gene? The time that I have specifically talked about Steve Austin, I have said that this man has a promising wrestling career.
You should have said that.
That I have said that in the short time that he's been in our sport, that he has climbed that ladder of success and now has become the United States heavyweight champion and has held this championship for a long time.
You should have said that, because it's true, idiot.
Austin, I'm sitting in the back listening on the monitor. Listen, you run me down, calling me stupid, calling me this, calling me that.
I can do that if I want to.
My opinion about you has changed. You're nothing but a young punk. You think you're great. Well, I'll tell you something. In my wrestling career, I've wrestled the great ones, and you couldn't even touch their jock.
Let me tell you something, Steamboat. I don't want to touch anybody's.
He retires in 1994, comes back a little bit in 2005, wrestles another match with Chris Jericho and the WWE, which is like, that sold the show too. It was like, holy shit, Steamboat can still go. If you've seen a picture of Ricky Steamboat nowadays, I think that motherfucker still has another run left him.
Probably.
I swear to God, he has another run. Right now, he's I guess they call him an ambassador. He works for WWE in a limited capacity. But that's Ricky Steamboat in a nutshell. What are your thoughts overall on Ricky the Dragon Steamboat?
He's one of my favorites. He's one of my favorites ever, and I think it was the athleticism, but also his intensity. Like when he was mad at somebody, it showed in his work.
Yeah.
And I think he has that what I would call almost comedic overselling at times.
Yeah.
But it works because it's wrestling, you know. Like The Rock does it. Ricochet does it. I noticed a lot. Ricochet really oversells.
Oh, like
right.
Take something and look like he got shot.
Right. So yeah, I mean,
where do you rank him in terms of in-ring performance? Like, is he in your top 10, top 5? Like bell to bell. Like, if you need a 5-star match, who are you going to? Like in your life depending on this match being a 5-star match, who are you going with?
He's in the top 10. I think what really made the Savage thing work was, again, we talked earlier about the time they put in a storyline.
Yeah.
Was remember he went through the whole thing where he got his neck crushed by the bell.
Yeah, and he did the vignettes where he couldn't talk.
Ricky, say you know, it was like, oh my god. But it made the match more like when poor George Steele getting beat up all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Like he's probably in my top 5. I have him really high up. I have him really high up on my list, my personal list. Which, you know, everyone's list, but I don't think he shouldn't be on anyone's list. You can be the most jaded wrestling fan of all time. You can be a modern fan. You can be an old school fan. You can hate wrestling. You can love to hate wrestling, or love to hate wrestling, or hate to love wrestling. But I think if you don't have him in your top 20, I'm just talking bell to bell, work rate, then I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're doing. Then your credibility doesn't mean anything. No, he's I have him high. He's in my top 5. So no, he's the best. I love Ricky Steamboat. All right, guys. So we are officially out of time. Join us for our next show. Will be a TV taping down at Techwood Drive in Atlanta, Georgia. It will be NWA on TBS. So that should be a lot of fun to do. And before we go, I just want to talk about people's opinions on wrestling. Now, this is the type of show where we have a little fun. We do a little discussing about wrestling, and we talk about it. And people and their opinions are strange to me. And I'll tell you why. Because social media in general is a weird place, because you don't know if people are being honest. You don't know if they're trolling. You don't know if that's their real opinion. They're saying stuff to get a reaction. I see a lot of what I deem is garbage hot takes. They're takes with the intention of getting a reaction from a group of people. Like, it's even shit that doesn't make any sense, or if you have any fandom or knowledge of professional wrestling in general, it doesn't make any sense. It's like, it's like slaughtering a sacred cow, just for the sake of doing it, not because that's your legitimate opinion. And, everyone is entitled to their opinions, right? But an opinion that's not educated is worthless. If you're the type of person that will go on Twitter or go on Facebook just looking to stir shit, I mean, at a certain point in your life, you have to look in the mirror at yourself and like, what am I doing? Are you even contributing to the conversation? Or are you just a distraction? And that's the things that some of these people have to figure out. Obviously, on this show, we're part of the discussion here. That's what we do. We talk about what we like, we talk about what we don't like. We're fair and we're balanced. And there's a certain news network that doesn't use that anymore. So we're going to use that. We're fair and we're balanced.
Right.
That's the bottom line. I mean, if the WWE does some cool shit, I'm like, oh man, that's some cool shit. If the WWE does some bullshit, I don't call it bullshit. That's the way it works. I have no agenda. I have no axe to grind. I don't hate a certain promotion. And I don't take sides like that. We're very, as a society today, everyone wants to join a club, join a team, be on a side. Everyone wants to be polarized. Everyone wants to be in extremes. That's the way we live. No one's in the middle. No one's in the center. No one's being objective nowadays. And it seems to permeate all fandom across the board. And, there's toxic fandom out there, and there's trolls out there, and a lot of other things. And what we do on this show, we have a good time. We talk about wrestling. It's just like, talking to one of your buddies, during lunch or on the phone. That's what we do here. We have a good time. So that being said, we are officially out of time. So